Welcome back to Smoke Signals, everybody. I'm Matt Montgomery, along with head football coach and athletic director Wayne Coleman. Fighting Indians hit the road last week, if you will, their first home game at Rose Stadium in Tyler, defeating Palestine by a score of 47-26. Coach, huge win, particularly after the start against Carthage and playing the #1 team in Class 4A. And Palestine, always a great rivalry. Your overall impressions of a pretty big win for your team?
It felt good, obviously, to get the first win. It was really important for us to get a fast start in the game, and we did. We jumped out there and got a couple touchdowns early, and we handled the weather really well. We took care of the football. That was the main thing.
Yeah, you didn't get off to too fast a start because you had an hour rain delay. Talk a little bit about how that affected the preparation, because I know that you're very schedule driven, and when the kids have to sit around and wait for an hour and you kept looking at the radar and everything, that's got to be a little frustrating, but of course everybody was dealing with that in East Texas.
Yeah, it's a situation where you've got to be able to adjust. We normally take about 52 minutes of warm-up time to get started before a game. We had to cut our warm-up time down to 25 minutes, and of course we had to sit around and wait a long time. The kids were getting a little antsy in the locker room.
You got off to a great start, Deshaun McEwen, great kickoff return that got you in position down there. And you said last week right here that you were going to try to get the football in his hands more, and you were able to do that.
We did, and the inclement weather, wet footballs and stuff, that that kind of lent us to wanting to get him a few more carries, and he did a good job.
One of the unusual things that happened was for Palestine, and you mentioned this before the game that you'd heard this, and it turned out to be quite true. They changed quarterbacks on you. I know I talked to defensive coordinator Kenny Kennedy this week, and he said that all you guys did was prepare for Tyler Gray. He didn't start off at quarterback. He played a couple of plays, but they moved him out to flanker. How did that change your defensive philosophy?
We were planned on bringing a lot of pressure to try to contain Gray, and we kind of stuck with the same plan. And as it worked out, the other quarterback wasn't quite as mobile as Gray, and we're able to get a lot of sacks in the game.
Yeah, you did. I mean, defensively, a tremendous game. We'll see some highlights in just a moment from those. But offensively, Coach, you really ran the football much better this week. TJ had 85 yards carrying the football, and you had other people keep getting some yards too. Offensive line, tremendous job this last week.
Yeah, they did a great job. It was night and day compared to the first game of the season. TJ had some holes to run through, and that kid, he played almost 100 plays in that game, playing almost every play on defense. And then on offense, he had 20 carries. So really hats off to TJ for a great night.
And you threw the ball well in the rain. I mean, it seemed like, I know the Jordasian Thompson touchdown from Tristan Shoemate occurred when the rain was coming down the heaviest. That's got to feel good to know that your team can still move the football through the air when it's raining. Yeah,
believe it or not, on those nights, your little 8th grade ball boys sometimes are the MVPs. I mean, They did a great job of keeping a dry ball in the game for us, and our quarterbacks and receivers did a good job of executing the throw and catch.
Of course, you had 2 defensive scores in the third quarter, which to me turned the game around. I mean, it was like, you're just trying to get a stop for your defense, and then boom, they turn them into scores.
Yeah, no doubt. We had a really tight game at the time, and we got the turnovers and just blew the game open.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights. Jacksonville versus Palestine last week at Rose Stadium. Coach, here's that touchdown I just mentioned. Tristan Shoemate, 44 yards to Jordasian Thompson. I like the adjustment by Tristan.
Yeah, he really moves well, has good pocket presence, throws the ball well on the run.
Here's Palestine's quarterback in the shotgun. Big sack by Bryson Tatum, your sophomore.
Bryson is getting better every week. The sophomores, they can improve really fast.
And here's TJ getting a sack as well.
Yeah, just a great night for TJ.
Big hit right there on that 4th down stop right there. Laterrace Castleberry and Rattling.
That's like a turnover when you get a stop on 4th down and 1.
And here's where the quarterback showed his use. Just kind of threw it up there, and Chris Carpenter, 32-yard pickoff, pick 6.
No doubt, pressure caused that turnover, and the kids capitalized.
Here's the quarterback again. Caught out in the flat, and what a play by Gallegos right here.
And Braylon Ryden rips the ball out, and we work on that almost every day. The turnover drills, ripping the ball, and Braylon did a great job for Steven to get the touchdown.
Great offensive line play right here as TJ rips off 22 yards.
Yeah, what a nice hole for the kid to run through. Great job by the O-line.
And speaking of holes, there not much needs to be open for this young man, Deshaun McEwen. 62 yards.
Untouched. Really, really pretty football play.
Big time run. And that's, you can see the tape on his ankle right there. He had twisted his ankle, and he brought it right back. And what a big game. He had 5 carries, 97 yards. And of course, TJ had a huge game, 20 carries, the workhorse for 84 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And you can see the other statistics right there that your team coach just really, it was both sides of the ball, so much improvement from week 1. And I know Palestine isn't necessarily the #1 team in the state, but you saw improvement no matter if, who you were playing this last week, and that's what I know you want to see as a coach.
Well, and everybody talks about the biggest improvements always from week 1 to week 2 because your weaknesses are amplified in week 1. And our kids did a good job of taking coaching during the week and understanding the mistakes they had to fix. And that really was a nice job of our kids of growing in 1 week's time.
Jacksonville gets the win to go to 1-1 on the early season. Next week, or this week I should say, it's Henderson. You went 79 west, now it's 79 east, and the Henderson Lions. Coach, this is a team that's 0-2, but they're a good football team. I mean, they don't look like an 0-2 team. In fact, if you put it on the meter, I think their team leans more toward Harthen's ability than perhaps Palestine. It's going to be a tough game.
They are a lot more like Carthage than they are Palestine. They've got a solid program. I mean, this is a team that's been averaging 10 wins a season now for the last 5 or 6 years.
Won a state championship in 2010.
Yeah, they've got a solid program.
Yeah. What do they do well? I know they lost a lot from last year's deep playoff run, but they still have some cats back.
They do, and they're kind of in a situation at the quarterback position where they're playing a couple different kids there. You've got a wide receiver that converted to quarterback who's really athletic, and then you've got a more pocket passer type kid that plays in there. So kind of like the Palestine game from the standpoint, you've got to go in, kind of be ready for 2 different styles of quarterbacks to defend. They run a lot of crazy formations on offense, unbalanced sets. Then on defense, they run this radar defense where you never know where anybody's going to line up. They're coming from all different places. So it's been quite a start to the season in the fact that we normally will play basic, even front defenses almost every week during the season, and we've yet to see one of those yet. So it's been some hard work for our offensive line.
Offensively, Coach, what will you be able to do to attack them defensively?
I think we've got to keep growing our personnel packages. We've got to keep working our RPO game with Tristan at quarterback, and we've got to see how much we can get out of McEwen at receiver or quarterback. And then we've got a lot of kids playing receiver right now. We've got to evaluate the amount of plays that some of them are having to play on offense, defense. Are we getting the bang for the buck out of them offensively? So we've got to keep growing as an offensive unit in finding our identity. But that's a good problem because we've got a lot of good pieces to move around, and we're very fortunate that we've got some skill kids.
And it's your last game before district starts in a couple of weeks after the bye week. So this is really the game where you kind of want to see things really kind of come together. You said the greatest improvements from week 1 to week 2, but then here we are at week 3, and you really need to kind of start getting lined up because you got Nacogdoches on that Thursday night district opener.
There's no doubt. We're not used to district starting this early, so it's very important to find ourselves in this last non-district game.
Coach, defensively, as I mentioned earlier, and again, the Palestine game, Kenny Kennedy's defensive coordinator was telling me about preparation, and when you prepare this one way and then you have to adjust. That was a big deal last week, making the adjustment and changing up. With 2 quarterbacks for Henderson, how do you feel that your defense will attack him? Will it be the same coming off the edge and try to put pressure on him?
Yeah, the main thing is just getting lined up right now on defense. We're going to get a lot of unbalanced formations and shifts, and we're going to have to just be able to get lined up defensively. Defense is so much just about alignment and assignment, and you can change quarterbacks out, but even when you do that, it's not going to change your alignment very much or your assignment. So we just got to keep working on getting lined up correctly on defense.
Coach, let's talk about keys to the football game for Jacksonville to get the win.
Yeah, well, if we get another weather night like we had
last
week, and it's very strong possibility, it's just taking care of the football because we're playing good enough defense right now that if we don't give the team the ball on our end of the field like we did against Carthage, if we make them go the length of the field to score, our defense is playing pretty solid football right now. So we got to take care of the ball, and then also try to find ways to exploit their defense because they do so many different things. They have a tendency to give up the big play, and so we're going to have to figure out how that is that we can find that explosive play.
Coach, so much of football is confidence, and obviously you have several guys that have been under the Friday Night Lights that have the experience, seniors, 3-year starters, many of them. But then again, you have a slug of players that haven't played on Friday nights, and last Friday it just seemed like the light bulb kind of went off for some of them. They stepped up, and I know that's important, and I know that's got to add to the confidence as you go into this last non-district game.
It does. You know, like a kid like Bryson Tatum made so much improvement from game 1 to game 2 because he's a sophomore, and we talked to the kids last week about this thing called artificial maturity. Everybody thinks they know how to do something because they watch it on YouTube or they see it on television. Oh, I can do that. Well, until you've done it, it's really artificial. You really haven't proven that you can do it. So the only way that you can progress beyond the artificial maturity is to get out there sometimes and fail at something so that you have the experience and you become better at it. And that's where we're at right now. We've got some younger guys that are trying to progress out of that artificial maturity and have that game experience under their belt.
And I know you've prepared your team, and you are preparing them this week for the fact that this is an 0-2 football team, but they played a really good team in White House, one of your district opponents, and they played the number 6 ranked Class 4A team, defending state champion, Pleasant Grove, last week, and they played them very well. This is their home opener. They're 0-2. I mean, it's almost like you say, guys, this is a trap game. You better be prepared.
Yeah, this is not the team you want to play right now. Their backs are against the wall. You know, those kids in Henderson have worked so hard, and now they've got a chance to get their season going with their first home game. They've done some stadium renovations, and it's going to be a really difficult test for us.
Well, it's Jacksonville versus Henderson. We'll be on the air at 6:45 on 94.3 The Bull FM. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you at the ball game.